Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now on with the show.
Welcome back to the Common Tech Files. I'm Lil.
And I'm Ricky.
Up for discussion today is episode 207, Out of Time. I remember liking this one better, but when I was rewatching it, I was just like, why isn't this better than what I remember? Like, I remember this being one of my favorite episodes of season 2, but I don't know. I'm jaded now, I guess.
Bits and pieces of it, like the whole Mohinder. Like, Mohinder's like just trapped in the middle of like Noah and the company, and you don't know he doesn't know who he can trust, and at the same time you don't know who he can trust, because I still don't even know whether Bob is good or bad. Like, and obviously Nathan obviously Noah's going off the deep end at this point, so yeah, I quite like those bits. The rest of it, yeah, I'm a bit iffy about, but yeah, we'll get into it.
All right, well, hit them with the synopsis and we can break this episode down and see what we liked and what we loathed.
Peter and Caitlin discover more about the future. Matt faces his father to save Molly. Nikki and Mohinder get their first assignment. Claire and West have a fight. Nathan learns from Bob about the past. Hiro takes control of his destiny to save history.
All right, so anytime we open up in feudal Japan, my eyes roll to the back of my head and I take a deep breath, so... Okay, so that's where we start off, and you know, obviously we pick up from where the last episode kind of left off. The Hiro situation, he's captive, and so is Yako and her father. They're Whitebeard's camp, and you know, of course, Kensei's behind it.
Yeah.
And he's got Hiro all doped up on opium, so he can't use his powers. And I'm like, that is actually like the first brilliant thing I've seen this whole damn season.
And it's from the bad guy, the actual big bad of the show, so yeah.
Yako's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, Whitebeard offered me anything I wanted, and I said I wanted you and half the country.
I obviously prefer Adam Monroe as like a villain as opposed to like the good guy, but it's kind of weird how quickly he changes, and I think we've talked about this, how it's like his changes in direction are very swift and very quick. Like the first time we meet him, he's just a drunk and he's a con man. Then he meets Hiro and he becomes like a hero, or he attempts to become a hero, and then he falls in love with this woman just because Hiro says he's going to, like, she's going to be his princess. And then the next minute he's betrayed, and now he's essentially a megalomaniac trying to take over half of Japan. And all that comes in the span of what, about 20 minutes worth of screen time? That is a lot of like swerves and a lot to take in from one character, but it obviously gets a bit better as you know, the rest of the, well, I say the rest, there's only about 4 or 5 more episodes left, but he gets better when he's a straight out and out bad guy. But yeah.
Okay, so we don't spend that much time there, thank goodness, and we kind of cut to Bennet in Odessa, Ukraine, and he's taking photos of the paintings, and he's calling Mohinder, who of course is with Molly, thank God. Has the company given you a gun yet? Mohinder's like, what are you talking about? And then like, what, like, so they have that, and then he kind of just hangs up on him because Nikki comes in and she's watching. You know, he tells him about Nikki, and then he tells Noah that he's unsure of his motives, and Nikki's just like, I heard you had some trust issues. I'm here to set that straight. Like, oh God, that's just what we needed.
Well, like I said at the beginning, I kind of like how Mohinder of everything at the moment, like, especially, well, just the company kind of stuff. Like, he's the one who both sides are trying to, like, recruit. So you've got Bennet, and him who are working to try and take down the company, but at the same time, him being inside the company, he's kind of seeing things from a different angle. Like, you've got Bob, who you don't really know whether or not you can trust, and you don't really know what his agenda is. And you got, 1 minute Bob's telling him he has to inject Monica with like the serum, and the next you've got Nikki telling Mohinder that Bob's all good, and he's helped me, and he's a very good person. And at the same time, you've got Bennet, who's just like telling him, have they given you a gun? Like, he just seems crazy, and it's easy to see why he kind of falls more on the Bob kind of side of things, because Bob's kind of telling him the truth, or at least Bob's kind of keeping him in the loop of stuff, whereas Bennett's just giving him half-truths and manipulation, like I've said.
Poor Mohinder. He's like Peter. They just always end up on the bad side of things.
Yeah, he's just does what he's told, yeah. He's like at the center of everything, so he's got the center of that, and then he's also at the center of like the Shanti virus, or, just the virus in general. And it kind of makes him, whereas in season 1, he was kind of on the periphery. He was, he was on the outskirts, just like left to his own devices with Sylar half the time. Here, he's kind of like really in the thick of it, and they've kind of pushed him directly into the front and center, whilst kind of pushing Peter and Hiro and kind of like Claire, like all to the background. You're pushing the overpowered to the back and pushing the human to the front. It's kind of good writing at the same time, but yeah, I'm kind of digging it, yeah.
Any screen time with Sunil is all right with me, especially if he's shirtless, even if his skin's falling off. But more on that for next season, I guess. So we also see kind of Nikki and Mohinder running to Bob because the facility's being evacuated. And of course, in comes serious duo, Matt and Nathan, to warn Bob that Maury's after him now. So we take a leap into the future with Peter and Caitlin. The streets are empty, and they suddenly get surrounded by these CDC agents, and they get taken into decontamination. Claire is, then we kind of go back to Claire, who's at home sleeping, and then she gets a text message from Wes that wakes her up, and it says, "Smells like waffles."
It's not Zach throwing text message pebbles at her window, is it? It's more Creeper West coming into the vibe, so yeah.
I'm saying, if I was Claire, Sandra is crazy. Some teenage boy shows up and wants to make waffles in my house for my daughter. So I'm glad Claire wasn't pleased when she sees that it was West. And then, Sandra actually leaves her alone with this creeper. And he shows her this stupid local newspaper article about what they did to Debbie. And then Claire, it gets all too real for Claire. She's like, oh my God, what have we done? We can't just do what we want.
But yeah, like I said in the previous episode, he's just like reveling in the fact that they've done this to this person. He's like pretty much showing no remorse, and that kind of, it just makes him like unlikable, and he's obviously ridiculously forward at this point, just turning up for breakfast, and it's just, he's just a really weird character, and he's a really badly written character. Like, he's just there to service Claire and try and, I don't know, just try and get her to be the bad girl or something like that.
What's the male equivalent of manic pixie dream girl? Because whatever that is, that's what Wes is for Claire at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised she's just not more upset with him, and it's just weird because, like, obviously she tells, like, I tweeted this, but it's about time that the Bennets had like full transparency with each other, because all this keeping secrets from each other is just not doing them any good whatsoever. Like, she tells West about her father, I think, in this one, and she doesn't tell her father. It's weird. Like, I don't know why she would just tell one and not the other. And there's also that weird kind of bit where they're making out, and he kind of makes a joke about not pushing it too, like, not going into it too quickly. But him bringing that up kind of makes him a bit creepy in the fact that that's what's on his mind. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was like, oh, in case you didn't notice, in case you didn't know, he has a boner. It was like boner alert slogan or something. I'm just like, oh, Wes. Anyway, we cut back to Matt telling Bob he wants to take him in for protection. And Bob's like, no, we're going to stay here. You have to take Maury down. And then he tells Mohinder that they need to inject Maury with the virus. But then Mohinder gets all self-righteous. My least favorite Mohinder, by the way. And Bob then tells Matt that it's his responsibility to stop his father because he basically has the exact same power as Mori. Interesting, considering what we learned in a few episodes. So yeah, cut back to feudal Japan, and Yako's father laments about how he should have never helped Whitebeard.
Also, why is Whitebeard called Whitebeard? He has a black beard. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, so she's like, she gets all like pro-feminist for a second, and she's like, men always underestimate women, and then picks the lock and escapes her chains. And so she removes Hiro from the opium and tells him he needs to concentrate if they're to escape. Whitebeard should have totally killed this guard, right? Because he left his post just in time.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
He comes back, and of course they're missing. So we cut to the future with Peter and Caitlin, and they're being like forced to shower in a building. We get nudity without any of the good bits, so I'm a little late. When they're finished, they're separated, and Peter meets with Howard LeMay, who shows him his death certificate, and he's like, you're supposed to be a dead dude. Like, why aren't you infected? And then Peter's like, where's Caitlin? And he's like, she's being deported back to Ireland because, you know, she's not American. She has
What do they say? She's a foreigner. She's getting deported. You put it nicely. I've literally quoted him verbatim, so yeah.
He's like, he goes on to tell Peter that the virus was first reported in March 20th, 2007, and since then has killed 93% of the world's population.
It's no 0.07, is it? Come on.
I know, they missed an opportunity, man. He shows Peter a room full of dead bodies, telling him it's been a tough week. And when we get this setup and this blocking for this scene, it turns out to be one of the series of 8 paintings.
Especially considering where we've come from in season 1, with the whole future episodes, this is very good in the way that it kind of tells you where the show is going, and it also gives you a very striking visual. It's a very effective plot device. It just, it gives us a reason to see, that Hiro's actions, they're significant, and they're very world changing. The stuff that they get up to 45 minutes every week. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. We cut to Matt, who is by Molly's bedside, and they're having a sweet tender moment. He's apologizing to her, and then he like quite Matt Parkman and starts blaming himself for his father leaving.
Poor Parkman.
I know, poor Parkman moment. Take a drink. Yep. When Molly tells her he loves her, the monitor beeps. And then he realizes that he used his ability to tell her in her mind. And while this is going on, Mohinder and Nikki are like going to get the sample of the virus. And Nikki attempts to show Mohinder that what Bob has told him to do is the right thing. And then like they walk around the corner and Nikki sees DL, and I'm like, huh? Okay, this better be more. Not even joking.
Yeah.
He calls her a killer and tells her, she'll never have a life. And then, like, when Mohinder returns, there's no DL. And then the two walk.
Yeah, it's kind of bad for her because she obviously thinks she's cured, and she's going around, hoity-toity, going to Mohinder that the company are good, the company have cured me, whilst all the while she's obviously seen DL, so obviously she's not as cured as she thought she was, so yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. But then, like, Mori comes out of the room behind them. I'm like, phew! Thank God. I don't need DL to be her evil split personality this season.
And he's got that sinister kind of gaze. He's very great.
So then we see Nathan and Bob talking in Bob's office, and Nathan asks who Adam Monroe is, and he's told that he's the one trying to kill him and the others, aka the founders, and Mori is the weapon, but Adam is the visionary. Bob says he locked him up, but 2 weeks ago he escaped along with Peter. Yep. Yes, Nathan, your brother is still alive, so now you can get a decent haircut and leave that to him.
I think Nathan has like a really good line in this, which is going to be my line of the episode, where he's talking and he says, that's the thing about you people, you give us half truths and you give us manipulation. Why don't you just tell us the truth? And that if they just told each other the truth all the time, you wouldn't get all this substantial amount of just like backstabbing the whole time and like not trusting each other. But at the same time, there would be hardly any drama. So yeah.
Drama for sake of drama. Back in the future, Peter is taken to see Angela. They embrace, although he doesn't know who this creepy lady is. Yeah. Come on, think about it. If you didn't know who Angela was, she's a little creepy and sinister in her aura and demeanor. She responds that she's there to help him remember who he is. She explains that she knows about his powers and how his brother had died. And even with amnesia, all you have to do is mention that Peter has a brother. And he's like, I have a brother? God, so annoying. And then, like, Peter tells her he can't control what he's doing, and she tells him that the virus is going to kill everyone that it hasn't already killed. And she's like, you got to remember who you are. And then he begins to remember Angela and finally realizes that she is his mother and kind of what she said is the truth. Then we're back in the present day with the Bennet household, aka the Butler household. Claire and Wes are listening to music and kissing on the couch, and I was just like, dude, that moment took me back. And I swear, all the time, that exact thing. But anyway, what are they doing? Claire asks Wes if his marks hurt, and then he tells her no. And then Claire's like trying to tell him something, and then he's like, if we're moving too fast, don't worry. We can slow this down. He's like, so what do you want? And Claire like instantly jumps up and she's like, you know what? I want popsicles. I'm like, what are you gonna do with those popsicles, Claire? And then from the kitchen, she sees her father enter the house, and then what Wes sees him is like the best thing ever. He panics. He's like, he found us! We gotta get out of here! I love that sheer panicky look in Wes's little smug face. Then she's like, no, this is my father. This is what I've been trying to tell you. And then Wes is like, it's a trap! And flies away. And then Mr. Bennet comes out and he's like, who are you talking to? Why do you have two popsicles? And she's like, one's for you, Daddy. And Mr. Bennet's like, nah. Cut to Japan. Hiro's looking at Whitebeard's army. And Gecko tells him that it's nothing he can do. Whitebeard has won. He's like, no, I still believe in Kensei. And she's like, he's like, it's dangerous for you. Go wait under our cherry blossoms. And then teleports away. Like, just ugh. Keep it in your pants when you're time traveling, people. Just anyway. Mori watches as Nikki and Mohinder obtain samples of the virus, and then Nikki sees DL again, and he's telling her, you're super for getting involved with the company, and I'm like, where's the lie? Mohinder sees her talking to herself, and Nikki, watches Bob shoot DL, who tells Nikki that she has to kill Bob to save Micah, and of course, that's her trigger word. Everybody has a trigger. Mohinder's like, you're talking to yourself. This is probably Bob. And Nikki's like, nah, and punches him all the way across the room. Grabs a syringe and walks out the door. And then, unfortunately, we have to cut back to Japan. Why we couldn't just let the Japan scenes all play out at once and get this nonsense out of the way is beyond me. But he teleports into a tent, gets ready to set it on fire when Kensei appears. Then the two kind of begin sword fighting, and he's fulfilling one of Isaac's paintings that we saw. During their fight, they knock over a lantern and set the tent on fire. Hiro's like, I can teleport you out of here. Just come on.
Once again, Hiro's trying to, even though, this guy's tried to kill him, or at least, tried to take his woman, he's still trying to be the hero in trying to save Kensei the whole way through. And that's, the innocence of Hiro. So, yeah.
Even though he's like 27. Anyway, Hiro offers to teleport Kensei out, but of course he refuses, and he swears to make Hiro suffer. Then Hiro teleports outside the tent just in time, of course. Cut to present day, back at the company facility. Bob shows Nathan videos of Peter and tells Nathan that where they last saw Peter was in Ireland. And Nathan's like, how do you lose a person? And I'm like, have you met your brother? He's a wily one. He's always got his nose and stuff. Nikki begins punching holes in the door, pulling her back, Jack Nicholson in the shiny.
It's another painting as well, isn't it? That one, yeah.
Matt hears and heads out to investigate, only to find himself in his childhood home where he sees Molly at the table.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, we're in Maury's nightmare. And I'm like, yeah, look at that furniture.
Look at that wallpaper.
Look at the potatoes and brisket. Matt tries to escape. Nikki breaks the door to Bob's office. Matt is then able to pull his father into the nightmare with him and Molly. And then Nikki grabs Nathan, and he and Bob try to bring her to her senses. Seeing it as our only option, she injects herself with the virus, and I'm like,
oh, Nikki's sacrifice, come on. It's a nice little scene, I think. She does what she feels she needs to.
Yeah, it's good for Nikki. Like, it's the most redemptive thing she's done, considering she's got her husband Back to Morgan, Matt arguing. Matt tells his father he thinks he can trap him in the nightmare he created because it's his nightmare. It's the night that he left them.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not scared of you anymore. He's like, I know that I'm a good man. I'm a good cop and a good father. I'm more than you ever could have been and are. And basically walks out with Molly like a boss.
Yeah. He's just overcome his daddy issues in like 5 seconds flat, basically, is what he's done. I like the scene, but at the same time, I think, he kind of gets to that point in using his powers so quickly. Like, at the beginning of the episode, he's told that he can do it, and all he can do is read minds. Then by like the middle of the episode, he's essentially stronger than his dad, who's been doing this for, maybe 30 years, 20 years at least. And he's able to at least, overcome his father. And, yeah, I don't know. It's obviously his father feels guilt and fear over leaving his family, and that's why he's easily trapped. But it feels kind of soap opera-y and a bit too clean to happen. Maybe it's because of the writer's strike, or maybe it was meant to be a lot longer, but I think it just felt really rushed, the whole power development, and then that carries on into like the next couple of episodes.
The writer's strike literally happened a week after this, but they had been writing up till...
I'm taking it was probably going to be like the mid-season break.
They got all the way up until 4 months ago was like the last one that they were like kind of really
going full pelt on. Yeah, they probably had other stuff planned out.
We'll talk about it eventually one of these days. Yeah. So it's just kind of, that was a little rushed, but I was glad that they actually gave Matt his empowerment moment.
It's very good to see his power evolving, and it's good to see that he's overcoming his dad, but at the same time it's obviously a little bit rushed. So yeah.
In the future, Peter and Angela are heading home when Peter sees Caitlin. Peter tries to teleport him and Caitlin out of the facility, but thank God, ends up alone back in Montreal.
There's so many people who have asked whatever happened to Caitlin, and I don't care what happened to her. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because I think it's just people who are being pedantic for the sake of being pedantic. Like, they want stuff to be cleared up, but at the same time, this was happening about the time of the writer's strike, and you weren't going to get the answers that you were looking for. So yeah.
I honestly don't think there was an answer to be had. It's just one of those things Heroes does. It's like when a love interest dies. Oh well, moving on. Especially Peters.
Yeah.
Especially Peters. I mean, did we not learn anything from the Simone situation? Anyway, we're back in Japan, and Hiro finds Kensei's helmet in the rubble of the explosion. I go, damn, that's a tough helmet and armor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He tells Yaiko that he has killed Kensei. She tells him that everything Kensei accomplished, it was actually Hiro, and he is in fact Kensei.
Yeah.
Duh. He tells her that Kensei actually has one more story and that he can't run off and be happy with his princess. He talks about how he has to cut out his heart to save his love.
Yeah.
And I kind of actually like it because that's great symbology for that particular story.
It's the same thing kind of with myths and legends. It's that they've always had the symbolic nature, and obviously, like, stories, as they get passed down, especially one that's like 400 years old, they get passed down, they get embellished, they get changed slightly, but they've always kept like the same kind of moral kind of guidance throughout it. And I think it's a great little use of symbology. Is that a word? Symbology? It sounds like it is. But anyway, it's a great storyline. Yeah, I like the whole thing.
Anyway, she tells him as long as she has a voice, the story of Kensei will be known. They kiss and he teleports away.
I'm surprised they kissed. I thought he was going to go in for the kiss and then teleport, like with Charlie.
After all this stuff, he's got to get him some. At least one more kiss.
I know.
Cut to Mohinder in his lab trying to use his blood to help Nikki. And then we have like that dun 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 moment. Yeah. He's like, my antibodies can't cure you. And she's like, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, please, if there is a God in heaven, yes.
I also like the fact that he's got the bandage over his nose and everything. That's the thing about the paintings this season. Because you know that you've seen them and there's an actual order to them. Like, you know, they're labeled 1 of 8, 2 of 8. You kind of know how they're going to go and how they're going to show up and what's going to happen. So you've got the plan of what's going to happen, and everything seems to be falling into place. So obviously, you know, he's got the bandage on his nose. He's been punched out, so he's got the bandage on his nose. And I think at the end of this, he gets the gun, or the gun shown. So you kind of know that that's coming up soon. And it's a clever story.
Yeah, HRG, he was just the ideal company man, like literally through and through, until they decided to go after Claire.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had to do what he had to do. So he's off the rails, but he's still actually more in control of the situation than Mohinder, because Mohinder's lost and confused and looking for a new parental figure. Let's just be real. So, you know, he's easily malleable because he hasn't resolved one of his major, you know, character flaws, which is, you know, daddy issues.
And obviously, at the beginning of the episode, he's getting shouted at by HRG, and at the same time, he's got nicely Bob. So he's obviously going to go more towards, you know, Bob, and he's obviously thinks that Bob's taking the company in a better direction. So it's that kind of moral guidance and that moral dilemma that Mohinder's under.
No, it's good, and I like how that particular conflict kind of keeps him in the central story of season 2 and 3, especially.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really quite important, actually. It's something that I wasn't expecting in the first, like, when I was watching this live, because, well, he's a brown man. Anyway, in present Japan, Ando is working, and then all of a sudden Hiro appears. He learns that they stopped the explosion and tells Ando he wants to see his dad, and Ando's like, yeah, about that, he was murdered.
It's murder.
Mohinder then tells Bob that the strain Nikki injected herself with has no cure. Bob shows Mohinder a police report of a girl who dropped 50 feet and lives. Bob thinks Claire can help Nikki survive.
As per usual, put Claire at the center of the story once again.
But her middle name must be MacGuffin, I swear.
Or Mary. I think her middle name might be Mary Sue as well.
Knowing Mr. Bennet would not allow that, he hands Mohinder the gun. Be prepared. Mohinder reveals his partnership with Bennet and their motives to take down the company, and I'm like, oh, Mohinder.
Snitches get stitches.
He's already got stitches.
I know.
That was not a threat for him. Says he doesn't know what is right and what is wrong anymore. So we cut to Sandra telling Noah that Claire has a boyfriend, and he's like, oh, really? After I let this heifer become a cheerleader, that one thing I asked her not to do, she did. Damn you, Claire. So she sees, she's sitting in her room on the sofa, and she tries to text Wes when her father enters and drops the newspaper article in her lap. She's like, that's nothing, Daddy. And then they kind of argue about putting the family in danger, and then he's like, you know what? We're moving. So yeah, and then Claire's like, you know, you can't tell me what to do. You guys can go, but I'm not leaving. So finally, we see Peter's attempt to teleport back to the future when he hears a noise, sends out one of those bolts of electricity. Someone puts out the hand and absorbs it, and it repairs itself. The man steps out, and guess what? Adam, it's actually Kensei!
Dun, dun, dun. I wonder when he got the name change, but I think we'll find that out in the comic books, but yeah. I like the name Adam, obviously, because he, as we know, he's the first special. So obviously he'd be Adam, and probably the first one would be Eve, because you know how they like their religious things every now and then. So yeah.
So he tells Peter the two of them are going to change history.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, don't you mean save the world? Isn't that Peter's thing?
Yeah, it's a nice little twist. I think it should have been. It's kind of pretty much foretold throughout the whole season, because otherwise, why would you have Hiro hanging out so much with Kensei?
Whatever. Somebody send me what the Japanese word for side quest is, because that is Hiro's middle name. I guarantee.
It's obviously going to make an interesting story for when Peter actually remembers everything and realizes who he's aligned with. But I don't know. At the same time, he's been the guy who's been behind pretty much everything from season 1. He's the guy who kind of apparently put the idea in Lindemann's mind. He's the guy who's been, you know, who's been pushing the buttons of Mori to do all his dirty work. Whereas Lindemann had like an aura about him as being like an evil bad guy, even though he was a very eloquent one. And not the seedy gangster that we thought he was going to be. There's just something about Adam which doesn't kind of seem big bad at the moment. He just seems like a very fair, slim, posh actor. Yeah, but they generally do good stuff with their casting, because obviously Nathan looks like a lawyer, and Matt looks like he could be a cop who eats too much donuts because his daddy issues. But at the moment, I don't really think Adam has that kind of menacing aura about him. But to be fair, this is the first kind of proper meeting of Adam as opposed to Kensei.
But you know what though? My initial thoughts about this were like, I felt bad for Adam at first, because basically it's Hiro's kind of fault for making him die all those horrible deaths. That changes a person.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just like, damn you, Hiro.
So we can trace this all back to Hiro, like we can trace Sylar being a bad guy to Chandra Suresh. Adam's trace back is Hiro all those years ago, and a broken heart, because he builds him up to be the hero and then takes it away from him by stealing the girl. So yeah, you're right.
I had a crazy theory though when this came out, when it was all kind of revealed, because he kind of sort of looks like Claire. They kind of sort of have the same powers.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
so I was just like, oh, are we gonna go there? So yeah, I always thought that the casting was very interesting on Heroes, even if it never went anywhere. So some trivia time. There's not too much trivia.
Okay, so trivia. I've got the Heroes logo at the beginning of the episode was the first one to be green instead of the usual orange. That's because of NBC's Green Week. The episode features the first actor credited as a special guest star. Leonard Roberts was given this billing for his return as DL in Nikki's Mori-induced nightmare. In the scene where Peter and Caitlin are walking down a deserted New York City street, the two street buildings visible are the Chester Williams building and the Jewelry Trades building.
Your LA is showing.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get on to grades. Do you want to go first? Because I want to try and make you go first from now on.
This is a C plus. This is a C plus. It's so average, and like the good bits are good, but everything else is kind of blasé.
I think so. I think I'm going to have to go with a C, just because of the whole Mohinder at the center of everything. I kind of like that they're pushing someone else, and they're kind of putting the kind of more overpowered people to the back. And obviously the reveal at the end.
What is your favorite scene?
I'm going to go with I like the ending, the whole hand and then the morphing, his hand gets burnt and then goes straight back to normalness. I liked Stoned Hero. I quite like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all it is. I do like when they have the paintings kind of show up, or like the images from the paintings. It's kind of like, when you used to watch Fringe and you could see an observer in the background, or in Heroes when you saw the helix. It's kind of one of those things that oh damn, there it is. And I kind of like those. So yeah, how about you?
I definitely loved Stoned Hero. I loved Matt and Molly's little special moment. I actually did like Matt standing up for himself and getting over his daddy issues, and I absolutely love the reveal of Mohinder's broken nose. Like, oh snaps, it's about to go down.
How about lines? Do you have any lines?
Of course I do. Why is everything so purple? Hero.
I thought you would have been straight. I thought the first one from you would have been when Matt tells Molly he loves her. But obviously, that.
They made the best scene, so no need to.
I don't really have any lines that I could vaguely remember. It just, they all kind of are kind of meh until the next couple of episodes, to be honest. But yeah.
Most petulant child line goes to Kensei though. He's all like, "We did make a good team, you and I. You showed me how to be a hero, how to love, and then you took it all."
Oh man, come on. He's it's fair enough. He's.
I mean, come on, man. People get their hearts broken all the time, and they don't go destroying the world.
So we can move on to the comics. So the first one's going to be The Last Shangri-La. I'm just going to read through it. In Goa, Traveller is asked by Hannah Giddleman, so obviously Hannah's still alive on the internet somewhere, to deliver a message to a man named Drucker in the Kingdom of Bhutan. He enters the country and easily adapts to his surroundings thanks to his command of the languages, which is obviously his power. I think it's called omnilinguism, maybe. Anyway, traveling on foot, he soon reaches a village in the mountains. Upon leaving, Traveller falls down an incline and injures himself. He shouts for help before passing out. When he awakes, he's in a warm bed, tended to by Buddhist monks. A man in grey, who Traveller believes to be Drucker, asks for Traveller's message. Traveller informs him that his message is from Hannah Gittleman, to whom Drucker is related. So yeah, they're bringing back Hannah, and she will be a lot more prevalent in the comics, as especially with the hiatus coming up. I don't know why I said it like that, but anyway, the trivia I've got is a link to the interactive. This is an interactive novel. It was sent in a message via Hannah. The novel must be loaded as an interactive version for viewing as a printable format, which was not provided. Each page of the interactive version contains an animation with additional content. The graphic novel is numbered as 57B since it came out after 57 and before 58. However, the graphic novel was released the same time as issue 58. Still can't find it though. Shangri-La is a fictional place described by James Hilton in the 1933 novel Lost Horizon. The term has become a symbol of earthly paradise, utopia, and isolated retreat. More specifically, the term refers to the mythical Himalayan utopia. In January 18, 2008, the Richard Drucker page at NBC was updated to read, in the January 7 graphic novel, a shocking revelation came to light. The man we thought was Richard Drucker was actually his personal pilot, Goose Hampton. The real Richard Drucker died in a plane crash years ago. This means the person that Traveller met is Goose and not Richard Drucker. And this is the only graphic novel until from the Primatech Files Part 1 not to have an Easter egg.
Ran out of behind the scenes photos, did they?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. When Traveller goes to Bhutan, he sits near a child who uses an Exo laptop to view a map of the country. This is the same laptop from the non-profit organization One Laptop Per Child gives to children in developing countries. Masi Oka was named the global ambassador of OLPC in 2007. So yeah. Obviously, I didn't get to read it, so I can't really say much about it, but I just thought I'd bring it up because obviously that's what we do here on the podcast. But the next one I did read, and it's Quarantine. And basically, it's the CDC guy who met Peter. What was his name again? Howard LeMay. And it's basically around about the time that the virus first gets spread, and it's his story about how he ended up kind of at the CDC, and him and his family are on, like, driving, and they're just, passing, like, it seems like something out of The Walking Dead, like the virus spreading and you're kind of on your own with your family. They pick up a stray and bring him to a stray person. May sound like a dog, but yeah, picking up a stray, bringing him to quarantine. Turns out the stray obviously has the virus, and Howard has to leave his family behind because the whole place is infected, and that is basically it. That's his story before he ended up at the CDC. The only bit of trivia I have for it is in the season 2 DVD commentary, it is explained that originally Strain 138 was to be released and Odessa, Texas would be quarantined. Eventually it would be learned that Howard was an agent of the company, and he used his position at the CDC to quarantine Odessa to ensure that the company's existence was kept a secret. He was intended to originally be the main villain of Volume Season 3, which was going to be called Exodus. So, glad we didn't kind of get that, but at the same time we got villains, so potato.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the Easter eggs for this, because it was season 2, they were really pushing the Sunil and Ellie Larder pair for the behind the scenes Easter egg stuff, so I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But also I think this one was a return from artist Marcus 2 to the graphic novels. We hadn't seen him in quite a while.
Okie dokie. And we don't have any emails, so we'll just go straight. Anyway, so shameless plugs and self-promotions. Do you want to go first for once?
So you guys know you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. I'm on Tumblr. It's lilithhellfire.tumblr.com. And of course, my blog dedicated to pop culture junkies and comic book geeks alike, littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. If you are a fan of iTunes, please be sure to rate and review us over and subscribe and download the episodes because streaming doesn't count. It really helps us move up the charts and help other fans of Heroes and Heroes Reborn find us. While you're there, look up Southgate Media Group for our provider page. Only like 50 podcast networks out of the millions have it, so it's pretty cool. It helps you keep track of all the hot and trending shows and episodes that we have. If you want more information about Southgate Media Group, please feel free to go to www.southgatemediagroup.com to check out a full list of our podcasts as well as blogs and information about the hosts. We're at like 85 plus podcasts, so I'm sure it's something for everyone there. Quite literally.
You can email us primatechfiles@gmail.com with your thoughts on Heroes episodes or our Primatech episodes, or with any questions about the show or for your hosts. You can follow us on Stitcher and iTunes, just search Primatech Files. You can also bookmark the Libsyn, primatechfiles.libsyn.com. Favorite Southgate Media Group on SoundCloud. Those are all the ways that you can listen to our beautiful, brilliant podcast at the moment. You can find loads of our social media sites. All you have to do is search the word Primatech Files. So that's for Tumblr, Facebook, Clamour, YouTube. You can search Primatech Files and it's all that. We live tweet 2 episodes every Saturday. Just follow Primatech Files on Twitter to find out which episodes and use the hashtag Primatech Files to join the conversation. This week we did season 2, episode 7, and the following people tweeted, retweeted, or faved during the live tweet. We have Lucy O'Bailey, Mr. Man 92, English Idiot 101, Demetria Mills 3, and Cinzia 667. You can find me at quanmagazine.com or thepeoplesmovies.com or at tvbinges.com for all your binge watching needs and to even create your own TV binge. You can also find me on Twitter at RickyJDiaz. That's RICKYJDIAZ, or Z if you are American. Lilith, give them the tagline.
Oh, well, if you want to save the world, you gotta download the podcast.